Hi everybody, it's HC Snowman. Welcome back to Snowman's Playground. This is a really short video. We're just going to watch the epilogue video, and then I'll speak a little bit on my thoughts of this game, and we'll end it. Remember us. A closing message from the Battlefield 1 team, dedicated to those who served.
One day, all this will be over. The war to end all wars will be won by one side or the other. The guns will rust, grass will grow, and there'll be nothing left of any of this. The land will heal itself, as everything does in the end. We'll be long gone by then, but maybe not forgotten. History only remembers 1 in 1,000 of us. Then the future will be filled with stories of who we were and what we did, how we lived, how we fought, and how we died. When this is all over and the war is won, they will remember us. But until that day comes, we will stand. We will look death in the eye. And we will fight.
That's Battlefield 1, folks. This was the first game I ever got on the Xbox One. It came bundled in with the Xbox One S that I picked up right after I finished college. I promised myself that I wouldn't get an Xbox or any console until I was finished with college because I knew I wouldn't be able to resist playing it, and my grades were bad enough as it was. And it surprised me. It surprised me how much I enjoyed the campaign for a game that, you know, is mostly known for its multiplayer, and a game series that, you know, decided instead of going with one long campaign was going to have 5 mini stories. And a lot of people thought, oh, it must mean that they're not putting a lot of effort into the single player this time around. And that couldn't be further from the truth. The very first prologue mission, which follows a Harlem Hellfighter after like a bunch of various different soldiers all throughout the front, each one eventually dying as you, the player, to just illustrate how brutal trench warfare and frontline combat was on the Western Front. It was just so wonderfully done. And then we have the mission Through Mud and Blood, where we get to see how the early tank crews had to operate. That amazing scene with the carrier pigeon. Being able to fly through the sky in biplanes that's always amazing. And then, of course, the mission where you play as an Italian shock trooper of the Arditi, and you search for your twin brother. That one wrecks me every time. And of course, the Gallipoli campaign also hits me. And of course, I think the one that I kind of the most indifferent is the final one. But overall, I love the capacity for video games and really any medium of art to be able to make you feel things. And in this case, a war that happened over 100 years ago, one that even shortly after was kind of eclipsed by World War II. It is nice that it got the spotlight and you got to see just how terrible it was to fight in that war, the heroism, the brotherhood, and the forging of national identities that happened in that war. Just so much history there. And you know me, I love history. This game means a lot to me. It's very special to me. I tried a little bit of the multiplayer, got immediately sniped by someone halfway across the map, and thought, who cares? But the single player meant a lot to me. I don't know about you guys, but I find myself longing for those simpler days, which is really silly because I'm not that old. But I feel like a lot of other millennials feel this way, but just like, oh, when I first got my Xbox or I first graduated college, things were simpler then. And I guess you're always going to say that for whatever time period of your life it was 5, 7 years ago. But like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of us don't, or at least the public at large doesn't really take video gaming seriously as an art form. Or if they do, they look to games like The Last of Us or Spec Ops The Line, or, you know, stuff that wouldn't be out of place as Oscar bait if put in a movie and removing all of the interactive elements. I mean, that's not to take away from those games. I mean, what Bruce Straley did with the original Last of Us is pretty incredible. Even, you know, just good stuff. But I think there's a lot to be said for games like this, you know, that maybe don't try as hard to be an incredible story, but, you know, they do their job well and they make you feel things. I just got done recording a story with my uncle earlier today, and I'm going to put that up on the channel soon as well. If there's anything I could encourage you with, and maybe you don't need to hear this, maybe you just came here to see a video game walkthrough, but if you are listening this far, go create something. If you have something in you, a fire to create something artistically, just go do it. You know? It doesn't have to be your way of income. It doesn't have to be your career. Just set aside some time every day and make it happen. You know, write that novel you've always wanted to write. You know, paint that painting. Make that video game, you know? I think the world needs more artists, and I don't necessarily mean career artists. I think the world needs more storytellers. Because I think there's a lot of us who haven't been able to tell our story, or tell a story in the way that only you can. So please go do that, because I need more art like this. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it.
When I was a young man, I carried my pack, and I lived the free life of a rover.